The Miami Hurricanes possibly have the most star-studded staff in all of college football. Quite possibly the most impressive staff in Miami Hurricanes history. But what does a realistic 2022 regular season prediction look like for this team? Welcome to Coop's way too early 2022 season prediction. What's going on, Canes fans? I'm really looking forward to this one because we do this every single year, and it's awesome to go back and look at these videos and see how close we get. So the idea for this video is we go through game by game, as you can see right over here, and we don't do a full deep dive, but we briefly discuss each game, and I tell you whether the Miami Hurricanes will win or lose that game. Now, just keep in mind a couple of disclaimers. This is called the way too early season prediction for a reason. So I actually go through sometime in August and redo my season prediction once we've had some time to see how the team develops over the rest of the offseason. And this could very well change. So I want you to remember that. There are a lot of variables that play a part. And then, of course, we also do the week by week prediction once the season actually kicks off. This is mostly just kind of for fun to very early on discuss some of our opponents and just get an idea of where we feel like we stand at this point in the offseason. So just don't forget that it's way too early season prediction. This is not my official one, and it's very likely going to change as the season gets closer. But before we dive into it, I do have one quick announcement that I'm super pumped about. The live simulation streams are returning this Friday, June 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We go through, if you don't know what those are, and we simulate the entire Miami Hurricanes 2022 season game by game, one game a week, every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. And we simulate these on the NCAA 14 revamped mod with updated rosters and graphics. So it's a really good time. It's a lot of fun. If video games aren't your thing, trust me, at least give it a shot and see what you think. I promise you, you'll probably end up having a good time because most people do. It's a chance to talk about the team in the off season since there's no football right now, and take a look and watch these guys virtually take the field and see how it plays out. It's a lot of fun, and I'll see you there. But without further ado, let's get into the meat of this video and discuss the 2022 season prediction. And we're kicking off the season this year with Bethune-Cookman at Hard Rock Stadium. Now, Bethune-Cookman last season was 2-9. Obviously, we know that, well, let's just be real. We're not expecting a whole lot out of Bethune-Cookman this year, but I'm happy that we're starting off the season with a cupcake, given the fact that we have a new staff, a lot of new schemes going into place. So it's an opportunity for us to flex our muscles a little bit, maybe get a lot of guys some reps, and work out any kinks for some big games that we have coming up. In 2019 was the last time we played Bethune-Cookman, and Miami won 63-0. Now, kind of as I mentioned with the simulations, honestly, if we lose this game, just scrap the entire season. This should be an opportunity to, again, test things offensively, defensively, have some second and third string guys get some reps. So we should see backup guys getting to play. The key for me is leaving this game injury-free. We want no injuries in this game, and that would be a huge blessing to kick off the season. I like starting with an FCS opponent as opposed to starting with an SEC team because, well, let's just be honest, in the past, that has not went well for us. So with this one, of course, Bethune-Cookman, I'm giving us a big fat W to kick off the season 1-0. Moving on to week 2, we have Southern Miss, which is also a home game at Hard Rock Stadium for us. So 2 home games to kick off the season. That's pretty awesome. Southern Miss was 3-9 in 2021. And what's interesting with this matchup is we've never played Southern Miss before. So this is going to be the first time we have ever faced off against this team. And I'm going to just be 100% honest with you guys. Southern Miss sucks. To be honest, the most interesting story going into this game is the fact that their running back is Frank Gore Jr. So this could maybe be a little bit of a personal game for him, possibly. And I think that he's actually a pretty good football player, but he can't carry the entire team. He can't play both on offense and defense and make all the plays. So just to keep it short, sweet, and to the point, Miami starts off the season 2-0 and gets the dub against Southern Miss, probably pretty handedly. But then it's time to move on to week 3 for our first away game, and it's a big measuring stick for the Canes at College Station against Texas A&M. Now, this is probably, man, I'm keeping it real. This is not just because I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. This truly might be the most anticipated non-conference game of the 2022 season. And I think that whether you're a Miami fan or a Texas A&M fan, that we can all agree on that. All eyes are going to be on this matchup, and it's a 9 p.m. game, so everyone, you best believe, is going to be watching. Now, some info about Texas A&M. They were 8-4 in 2021, and we all know the story about that crazy recruiting class that they had this year. Now, the last matchup that we had was in 2008, where actually Miami won 41-23. Now, again, this game is in College Station, which is a pretty big bummer because it would have been awesome to try to defend Hard Rock and have them travel to South Florida. But we're traveling to Texas for this, and we all know how tough it is to play in College Station. And as I mentioned, this is a huge measuring stick to get an idea of where we stand early on with this program. And with that being said, I do think that this game unfortunately ends in a loss for the Canes. Now, could a miracle happen? Sure. Do I think that we just absolutely get blown out by the Aggies? Absolutely not. But can I confidently say that we are going to be ready for this big of a stage this early on in the season? I just cannot comfortably say that. Now, luckily, we're not facing off against Texas A&M week 1. This gives us some time, to work out some things. But unfortunately, the truth just hurts sometimes. And at this point in time, I am going to actually give the Canes a loss in this one. And I'm really looking forward, however, to seeing Shamar Stewart take the field. Hopefully he does get some play time. And let's see what we can do about that guy. So week 4, we travel back to Hard Rock Stadium, and we're looking for some revenge. We were hyped up 2-0 to start the season. Then we take that loss to Texas A&M, so we're 2-1. And then we take on Middle Tennessee. They were 7-6 in 2021, and they ended their season with a big bowl win over Toledo. I'm just going to be honest with this one as well. Middle Tennessee lost a lot of their key players from last season, and even if they hadn't, this should still be an easy dub for the Canes. So yes, I'm giving us the win against Middle Tennessee. I don't even need to say anything else about that football team. We then have our bye week before we face North Carolina, and this is kind of strange. It's a very early bye week, 5 weeks into the season, and then we have to play 8 games in a row. So that's actually kind of rough for us, and we all know how we have performed at times coming off of bye weeks. Even though that's the previous staff, there's still some players that played for that previous staff. So this is going to be a huge test for Miami. Now, luckily, we do play at Hard Rock Stadium, but we also know our record recently against North Carolina. Now, UNC in 2021 went 6-7. They underperformed bad. Their expectations were very high, expected possibly to play in the ACC championship game, and well, obviously that did not happen. Now, even with that being said, they still managed to beat us last year 45-42 in a tight game. And let's not forget the beatdown we received from them in 2020, losing 62-26. Now, UNC did lose a lot of their key players to the draft, including quarterback Sam Howell, who was a huge part of that offense that they ran. However, fans seem to be pretty hype and excited about his replacements, May and Criswell. This game will be crucial for Miami kicking off ACC play. And with that being said, this game is at Hard Rock Stadium. It's Mario's first ACC game. I do think we get a dub in this one. And I actually think that we beat North Carolina by quite a bit. It's not even that I'm saying that we're that much better than North Carolina, but given everything that's happened over previous seasons and with the changes that have went down in North Carolina this offseason, I think that we handle business and send North Carolina home packing, maybe by 2 or 3 touchdowns at least. Next up, we travel to Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. Now, we all know that typically playing in Blacksburg can be a recipe for disaster. Virginia Tech was 6-7 in 2021, and they finished the season with a 54-10 loss to Maryland in the Pinstripe Bowl. So huge bummer for them closing out last year. And they did, in fact, fire their head coach, Justin Fuente, but they replaced him with former defensive coordinator coach at Penn State, Brent Pry. Now, a little bit of information about Virginia Tech. They did lose their top wide receiver and their dual threat quarterback, Burmeister. They obviously have a lot of question marks, and they're definitely not making the kind of big moves during the offseason that Miami is. But here's the deal. I don't think that Miami goes undefeated in the ACC this season. And I know that Canes fans are going to give me a hard time in the comment section, and I'm prepared for that. But I'm going to mark this one down as a surprise loss for us, actually. Should we win this game? Yes. Can I give you a firm reason as to why I'm giving us a loss in this matchup? Actually, I cannot. But I just have this feeling deep down in my gut that we're going to go through some adversity at some point, kind of early on in the season. Some things are going to go wrong. We're trying to work out all the chemistry with this coaching staff and implementing this new offense and defense. And honestly, you could insert any random team here to give us an ACC loss. It doesn't even have to be Virginia Tech. You could say maybe Virginia because they have Armstrong returning. Not Duke, but you insert any other random ACC team. I just personally have settled on the Hokies for now. The Hokies are really doing nothing special. We're not scared of Virginia Tech. I mean, it is in Blacksburg, and we should win the game. But just keep in mind, for those of you that are going to question my football knowledge, because right now, early on, I'm predicting a loss against Virginia Tech, I can fire back with 2 things. First off, remember that this is super early and could change. I most likely will change my mind. It could change my mind as the season gets closer. And also remember that some people predicted an undefeated season last year. And look how that turned out. That wasn't me. I didn't predict that. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to predict undefeated, that's awesome. It's okay to be positive and have that outlook. But I tend to be a little more realistic, I guess is the term. I'm positively optimistic, but also realistic at the same time because I have a reputation to uphold here on this channel. And I'm not always right. And it's interesting when people pretend like they are, but it's because they can easily go back and delete comments. I'm posting my predictions right here on this platform, on the internet for all to see, so everyone can criticize it. So before you open up and judge me and get all, defensive about me predicting a Virginia Tech loss, just remember those points I just made. So after taking a surprise loss to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, we head back the next week to Hard Rock to take on Duke. Now, this should be a feel-good game after taking that loss to Virginia Tech. Duke was 3-9 in 2021, and this season isn't looking much better for the poor Blue Devils. Now, they did, in fact, pick up our former strength and conditioning coach, David Feely, and our D-line coach, Jess Simpson. So we'll see how quickly the Feely effect can happen for Duke. They also have a new head coach and a reworked staff. Unfortunately for Duke fans, this is not going to be enough to get them the win against Miami. The last 2 seasons, in fact, Miami has won by a combined score of 95-10. This year will be a similar story and an easy dub for the Canes. After that, we travel to Scott Stadium to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia went 6-6 in 2021. Geez, so many coastal teams are just trash, man. Anyways, the Cavaliers also had a coaching change and hired former Clemson offensive coordinator Tony Elliott. They do also have their star quarterback Brennan Armstrong returning, but they are also going to be missing a lot of key pieces on that O-line. Most Canes fans are probably going to question me and ask why I didn't pick Virginia as the surprise loss instead of Virginia Tech. And to that I say, I mean, that's a good point. I understand that Tony Elliott is seen as a positive change for the Cavaliers. Brennan Armstrong staying is a very positive thing, but I just personally feel like this is going to be one of those tough transition years for the Cavaliers. I don't think that they're going to be quite as bad as they were in 2021, but I don't think that they're going to be a very good football team in 2022. And also, given the fact that we almost beat them with the staff that we had then, and there were a lot of negatives we had going for us in 2021. We should be just fine this year. Just give me the dub against Virginia. Well, well, well. Look who it is. Coming up after Virginia, we face off against Florida State at Hard Rock Stadium. I have to say, I hope that you guys are fully soaking up and enjoying that win from last season, because it's going to be the last time for a very long time that you are going to get a win against the Miami Hurricanes. And if you guys remember last season, I actually had to dye my hair red and pay an FSU fan $500 because we lost that game. Thankfully, it's going to be a very long time, if ever, that happens again. Overall, FSU was doo-doo last season. They ended at 5-7. This year, though, for this staff, for this team, it's personal. I feel like that if there is one team that Mario does not want to lose to in his first year, it's got to be Florida State. Right? What better way is there to set the tone for your career at the University of Miami than beating down our in-state rival Florida State at Hard Rock Stadium 56-10? That score sounds good to me. Give me the dub against FSU. So after absolutely just decimating and destroying and killing the morale of Florida State, we face off against Georgia Tech at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Last year, Georgia Tech went 3-9, and for some reason, though, Miami seems to struggle against the Yellow Jackets. I can't quite put my finger on it. We shouldn't, but for some reason, they always seem to give us trouble. Last year, we did win the game against Georgia Tech, but barely. Keep in mind this year, however, that the Yellow Jackets will be without their flashy running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, because he hit the transfer portal and went to Alabama. And I know over the last few seconds, I just mentioned that Georgia Tech typically gives us fits multiple times. And I do believe that Jeff Collins is going to be on the hot seat this season. But after playing Miami, Jeff Collins' seat is only going to get hotter because Miami is going to get a big fat win against Georgia Tech in 2022. Now, this is the game, the prediction that you have all been waiting for. Miami versus Clemson during the regular season. The Tigers went 10-3 in 2021 and went on a 6-game winning streak to close out their season. Now, I understand that many people have been poking fun at Clemson because at times last year it was a little bit of a roller coaster ride for them. But again, I just mentioned that they ended their season on a 6-game win streak, and I might be in the minority here, but I firmly believe that Clemson is going to be pretty darn good in 2022. This is an interesting matchup for multiple reasons. First off, we hired your athletic director, Dan Radakovich. Second off, we also picked up one of your wide receivers who we're hoping to be one of our top performers, Frank Ladson. This game is personal to several people, but the Canes haven't defeated Clemson since 2010. It's been 12 years. And the Tigers do have an interesting situation at the quarterback position because it seems to be a sort of love-hate with the fans when it comes to DJ. But they now have the number one quarterback in the nation last year, Cade Klubnik. So it's going to be interesting to see which quarterback ends up starting by the time we get to this point this late in the season, because they should have it figured out by then but that really could potentially change the dynamic for this game. Now, believe it or not, I do actually have Miami winning this game, which I think is going to shock a lot of you. But I believe that this will probably be, hear me out for a second. I know that we took a surprise loss in my prediction to Virginia Tech. I understand that we lost to Texas A&M early on in the season. But I believe that this will be Mario's signature win. Clemson is a team that we just have not been able to beat for so long. Again, I said the last time we beat them was 2010. And every time we lose to Clemson, it seems to be by 3, 4, 5+ touchdowns. We get absolutely crushed. So a win against our in-state rival, Florida State, a little earlier in the season, and then a signature win against Clemson will have Canes fans loving head coach Mario Cristobal and this staff that he has put together. So at this point in the season, Canes fans are super hyped. We only have one conference loss, which is against Virginia Tech, and most likely they're going to lose several ACC games. So we're probably in a pretty good position here. And then we have a non-conference loss to Texas A&M, which obviously Canes fans would want to win, but would potentially expect that loss. So it wasn't an unexpected one. Then we face off against Pitt for our final game of the season, and it just happens to be at home, so we're ready to go out with a bang, right? Let me tell you guys something. This is a tough one because last season Pitt won the Coastal, but we also beat Pitt. But that's also not uncommon. Miami tends to do that, where we beat the team that ends up representing the Coastal because we shoot ourselves in the foot, and we seem to never control our own destiny because we lose so many stupid games that we shouldn't lose. Pitt ended last year with an 11-3 record. Last year, however, they also had Kenny Pickett, who is now gone. Last year, they also had star wide receiver Jordan Addison, who, guess what, is now gone. However, Pitt has picked up a quarterback from USC, Slavis, and I think that he's probably going to play pretty well, and he's going to fit right in at Pitt. Now, they did also lose their offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple, so we're going to see a potentially totally revamped Pitt offense. This is another one that hurts so much to predict, but I'm actually going to put us down for a loss here. And I know that you're probably confused because we would just be coming off of a huge win against Clemson, and we want to go out right. But I actually think that we end up exhausting a little bit too much the previous week, both mentally and physically in that Clemson game. Our tank ends up being a little low. We're dealing with injuries, and we unfortunately take our second ACC loss and lose to Pitt in the final game of the season, making our regular season record in 2022 9-3. Now, I do not think that this is a disappointment in any way. Now, obviously, I would like for us to go undefeated. I would like for us to play in the ACC championship game, win the ACC, and then go to the college football playoffs. That's what everyone wants, and it's what our expectations should be. That's what I'm expecting of this staff. But when it comes to me putting out a season prediction, now mind you, way too early season prediction, let's not forget that, I have to be 100% honest and realistic with what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen and what I want to happen are two totally separate things, and I need you guys to remember that. So if I'm being realistic, I think that we lose 3 games this season. Now, could we still go to the ACC championship game with this record? Absolutely. Again, you guys know how much of a mess the Coastal is. So losing to Pitt and losing to Virginia Tech does not count us out, because I expect Virginia Tech to lose multiple ACC games. And the Pitt game could be close. This could be one where it's Pitt or Miami representing the Coastal. But to be fair, we also predicted that North Carolina might be the issue and represent the Coastal last year, and look at what their record ended up being. So it's really tough playing in the ACC, especially the Coastal, because, man, you just don't know what's going to happen. It just varies from year to year. But I do actually think we could make an ACC championship appearance with this record. But 9-3 is my way too early regular season prediction for the Miami Hurricanes. And again, this could very well change as the season gets closer. I'll make a new full prediction in August. But until then, let me know what you think about this way too early season prediction. Tell me what you think our record will be in 2022. And it's okay. I'm not holding you to anything, guys. You're not locked in. It's not concrete. It's May, for goodness sake. We don't really truly know, we don't even know who our starting running back is going to be. Is it going to be Parrish? Is it going to be Knighton, Chaney, Thad? We don't know. So it's hard to truly make a real prediction. But just sit back, guys, and don't be so uptight about it, and think of it just for fun so we can talk about what our expectations are and what we think will happen. But just remember to separate those two because they're two totally different things. So feel free to critique mine down in the comment section. Let me know yours. Let me know who you think the losses will be to. Let me know if you think we could beat Clemson or Texas A&M. Maybe you flip those two. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of hype surrounding those games. But thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. I know this was a long video to get through, but I really enjoy doing these season predictions. And don't forget that starting on June 3rd, we will begin the live simulations every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I would love to see you there hanging out, talking Miami Hurricanes football, just talking college football in general. It's so much fun, I promise you. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.